to really master something, we believe you should teach that, right? And there's one concept that we are experimenting is something called as peer tutoring, where something you have learned in our classes at Let's Unbound, you're trying to teach to a fellow friend or a classmate out there, right? To really build your confidence. And second, just to test yourself, have you really understood out there? Because if you can articulate a concept, I believe to a grade 5 student, we have really understood out there. The second aspect in terms of 21st century skills, and I would say it's a overused word now in the current space because we use it very loosely at times. And I'll just give you a framework that we follow. And then rather than going into specific skills, I'll talk about how I look at what should be the approach to acquire these skills, right? So again, there are different frameworks out there, but one of the key framework is the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs, where they have mapped what are some of the key skills in terms of foundation literacy, in terms of competencies that an individual should have in the current century out there. And they looked at a decade in terms of how the transition of skills would be, right? So there are a lot of skills from foundation literacy, like communication skills, mathematical literacy, competencies, digital literacy skills, then, global awareness, right? So there's a long list of courses out there. I would say if I have to kind of summarize that, anything that gives you leverage, right? So for example, if you're a good orator or a good public speaking, right, you have those kind of skills, that gives you a lot of leverage, right? Versus somebody who is equally qualified but not able to articulate their ideas. Or coding and computational thinking, right? There has been a lot of debate whether it's a good skill or not. It's an important skill, whatever your career path is, right? Even if you want to become a doctor or I'm an educator, I use all those skills to make my work more efficient. It also gives me a thought process how to structure a problem statement. Personal finance, right? Critical thinking. So we can keep talking about a lot of these skills, but I would say one important skill, or rather, I would say the overall idea is anything that gives you leverage is an important skill to learn out there, right? And there's a big framework on World Economic Forum that anybody can go back and check. Other important idea that I want to highlight is learning to learn, right? And I recently wrote about it in LinkedIn, and I keep talking about it whenever I get this question. What is the most important skill? The most important skill is learning to learn, right? We had a lot of talk about AI and other things since past few years, but in the last 6 to 12 months is where we have seen things getting executed, and it has become more of a product which has come to consumers like you and me, right? So and I see a lot of early adopters, and they are in different age groups. So I was talking to another professor recently. She is in her 50s and she has picked up chat GPT and how to use education. So I think that's one skill I would say is very important, right? It's not that you have done your studies and now you're prepared for life, and that's the, so to say, a problem with the thought process, and that's what we are trying to do at Let's Unbound. It's a lifelong learning process, whether it's 21st century skill or whether it was 20th century or it's going to be 22nd century. That skill, I would say, will help you differentiate, right? So that's how I would like to answer and share my thought process around 21st century skills.